Hi everyone, thanks for listening just there now on Midlands Radio 3, and thanks to Will for having me on. So I kind of just felt, I just jump straight on and continue this conversation with regards to sleep. I mean, when I did my first workshop back in on the 20th of January actually on sleep. It was one of the most popular workshops that I did do, and straight away I knew by the questions, even at that time, that sleep was an important, and lack of sleep and lack of quality sleep was an important issue for a lot of people. So it comes as no surprise that here we are in the middle of kind of this crisis. There's a lot going on. You know, our lives have been completely turned upside down in terms of our routines, in terms of job loss, in terms of uncertainty. And with that, I suppose it comes restless nights, sleepless nights, and lack of good quality sleep. So as I was speaking with Will, I have, I suppose, tried to put some bullet points together. I know some of you are free at the moment and you can jump on live, but I will share this video as normal, so you can watch it later on at your own time and at your own leisure, and hopefully there might be one or two things in here that you can maybe start to change. So what I will stress is that while there is lots of pointers here, everyone's home environment is different. So rather than try to do all of the things at once, thank you. Rather than trying to do all of the things at once, I would suggest maybe to take one or two things that you think might be easy for you to adapt into your routine, because we're all in the middle of trying a new routine, and see how it goes. And one of the things we study when we are training in health coaching is sleep and the relationship between sleep and food, and sleep and our daily lives. And I suppose I'm just really, really passionate about this because I understand that lack of quality sleep can have a long-term impact on your health, well-being, and your mental well-being as well. So just to kind of kick off, and again, if you want to have a paper and a pen, this might be handy. I will try and flesh out with some other posts and links after this on my website reveal.ie, and also any of my social media platforms. So thanks for following. And again, if you feel that you don't need this information, or that you're things are going well for you at the moment, which is great, please share it with someone who you think may need or may benefit from this information at this time. Thank you. Okay, so the first pointer I have is what I call our daily routine and the body's natural body clock. So we have a little tiny section of our brain which basically regulates our internal body clock, or our circadian rhythm. So basically what that tells us is our body naturally knows when it's time to wake up, and our body naturally knows when it's time to sleep. And we have a lot of hormones and proteins who work to send those messages to the brain in normal everyday living. When something like this happens, when our lives are turned upside down, and when stress is a factor, and when poor quality nutrition is a factor, it can start to chip at our sleep. So basically, one of the first things that I always recommend is to have a look at your daily routine, and the most important thing is exercise. For me, I like to do exercise in the morning, and again, the reason for that is it helps me to wake up for the day, it helps me lift the energy, and it helps me move for the day. So once our body or our brain starts to register natural light, what happens is our hormones that we need for that day start to activate. So the hormones that keep us awake, the hormones that build our energy, that boost our metabolism. So basically, we're like a machine. We literally get up and we get running. So exercise is extremely important. So for some of you in different environments at the moment, or living in different spaces, you may not be getting out for your normal exercise, but the main thing is to get out in natural sunlight, and I can't stress the importance of that enough. So for at least 15 minutes in your day, to try and get some natural sunlight on your face, so you can get those hormones working, so you can get your brain recognizing that it's time to wake up. It's time to be active. It's time for energy to kick in. So that's really, really important. If you like walking, fantastic. It's a great way. And if you want to even do 2 short walks, if you can do that, or 1 walk in the day, we're really, really blessed with the weather at the moment. The sun is shining, and that's our saving grace. So again, trying to get out in that fresh air and that light will naturally help your body processes for later on when we try to wind down for sleep. When we get towards the evening, a big hormone that kicks in is what we call melatonin, which a lot of you will be familiar with. And basically, melatonin is basically a pathway, and that's needed to tell the part of our brain that we need to get ready for sleep. So basically at nighttime, all those hormones that we need for during the day start to reduce, and all the hormones that we need for nighttime start to increase. So hormones like serotonin, melatonin. The great thing is that we can get melatonin from foods, and we can also get another protein called tryptophan from foods. So tryptophan is needed to make melatonin, and melatonin is needed to make serotonin, and all of these are linked together to help us unwind for sleep. So it's really, really important that one of the things that you might look for or look at the moment is maybe the diet. So if it's not the hygiene space, it could be, if it's not the exercise, it could be food. So that brings me on to my next kind of point, I suppose, which is the foods really. So some foods will stimulate you and wake you up. So think like spicy foods like curries, anything with kind of spices in it, or stuff that takes longer to digest. So they would be things that we would avoid later in the evening to kind of give the digestive system a break. On the other side of things, we have foods that basically what we call induce sleep. So that helps us to start getting ready for sleep and start to make those proteins and those chemicals in the brain that wind us down for sleep. So you're looking at, like we were having a laugh there, well, things like eggs, it depends. There's lots of different types of foods, and there's lots of different types of drinks. What I would say to you is to try and keep the meals just before bed very, very light, something that's easy to digest on the body. Again, when we're in a time of stress and worry, the digestive function tends to be a little bit weaker. We might not be producing as many digestive enzymes as we normally do, which means sometimes we can find that we're not digesting food. And if we're eating too late at night and we're eating foods that are taking us longer to digest, ultimately that's going to kind of make us have a more listless sleep, or maybe wake us up in the middle of the night as well. So as I was saying to Will, what naturally happens when we're a little bit sleep deprived, we tend to feel tired and we tend to go for the comfort foods. So it's not unusual that carbs become our new best friend. So potatoes, rice, pasta, bread, toast, sandwiches, you name it, we want it. Things like chocolate, could be crisps, savoury, anything with sugar in it, anything that's a stimulant, so like sort of Red Bull, things like that, anything to keep your energy levels up. But ultimately what comes with that is you get the high, and then you get a very, very severe steep low or sugar crash, and that can go from high to low to high to low. Our bodies can take a certain amount of that, maybe when you're having your cheat day, but the reality is at the moment we are going to be in a kind of a longer state in where we're at home. So the problem with this is that if we continue our patterns, if you feel that food is the issue for you at the moment, if you continue that and develop into a cycle of that, that may have implications for your health after this is all over. So that's just one side of things. And I will, as I said, put up a list of these foods. Thank you. I will put up a list of these foods that I kind of recommend. I'll have some images up on my Instagram and Facebook of some drinks I recommend, and also some supplements I can recommend as well. And again, with the supplements, I always recommend that you take it from a herbalist, someone who's an expert in supplements, as there may be some times where you cannot crisscross if you're already on existing medication, and I will mention that in my posts as well. The next thing, as I kind of mentioned to Will, thank you, is coffee and alcohol. Okay, so it's for some of us, maybe between last week and this week, we kind of feel a little bit, we're kind of we've just lost our jobs, we've just lost our business, we are at home, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, I might be having a few more extra coffees, I might be having more of a drink, a drink at nighttime. And the reality is, yes, while your body can, have a certain amount of that, if it was technically a weekend, perfectly fine. If you're having that over a consistent basis, what will eventually happen is it will start to affect your sleep. So it may not affect you that it's, you feel you're asleep for the night, but if you're finding you're getting up in the morning and you're exhausted, that's a sign that you're actually not getting down to the level of sleep that you need for your regeneration and your restorative process and your body healing to occur. And we need that now more than ever. And it's a vicious cycle that we're in. We need to make sure that we are getting that deeper layer of sleep. Because again, if this is a situation where we're going to be at home for the next foreseeable future, then we need to make sure that we do start to carve out these healthy hygiene, sleep hygiene practices to ultimately get you, better in mind, better in body. And really you're looking ahead to when we come out the other side of this, that you are ready, to get back out there. You're physically strong, you're mentally strong, and your sleep is in good condition. So just to finish off on the coffee, on average for most bodies, it takes about 5 to 8 hours to process 1 cup of coffee. So again, I would be recommending somewhere between 2 or 3 o'clock in the day that you have your last coffee. If you're someone who is having a lot of coffee during the day, maybe just a starting point would be to start slowly reducing or taking that back a little bit. So baby steps. Try not to do anything too drastic at the moment. We do need our comforts, and it's important that we have our comforts, but just try and do these things in little baby steps, nothing drastic. And again, that's the other main message for the moment. In terms of alcohol, again, alcohol will help you get to sleep. So there's no problem with that. Alcohol can generally make you drowsy, stimulate sleep. But the problem with that is it starts to trick the brain, and we actually don't get down. It starts to reduce the amount of melatonin that we are producing. So we don't get down to that deep restorative sleep, and we stay in this cycle of light sleep. And if that happens consistently, that can have implications on our anxiety levels, that can have implication on our mood, that can have implications on our brain in terms of thinking clearly and focusing clearly and making good decisions. So again, there is, no problem having and enjoying your drink. I know I like to enjoy a drink at the weekends, but it's the weekends. For me, my working days are my working days, and that's just something that works for me. So I'm just trying to go to my points here. The next point, I suppose, this is a really important one for me, and it's one that I found is really working. Between, last week I was so engrossed with the news, and I just found I was worrying about people, worrying about situations, worrying about the future, worrying how I was going to pay my bills, worrying was I going to be looked after by the government, wondering do I have a business, and all of these different things. And I suppose, in the last few days I've made a decision, a very easy decision was I have to be really strict on social media and on the news. And, I love social media, but again, it's to try and put those boundaries in place now where for my own mental health that I need to switch off a certain amount of that at a certain time in the evening so I can have a better night's sleep. So that was my next point, which is news and social media. So again, as I was saying to Will on Midlands Radio 3, the last thing, that you watch or that you listen to before bed is really, really, really important. Thank you. Because ultimately, it will affect, and the brain is active. It's particularly with the news at the moment, it's so intense. It's going round and around and around in the brain. And again, even when we go to sleep and we shut the eyes and we think we're asleep, the brain is awake and alert, and it's tossing, and when you wake up and you've just had crazy dreams, the brain is just trying to process all of this information. And to be fair, there's a lot coming in here at the moment from social media, from news, from other people. So we really have to be protective of ourselves for the next while in terms of what we take in and how much we take in. So last thing, I generally, again, this is just another tip that's working for me at the moment, kind of before we go to bed, it's trying to, in general, light watching. So it can be something I've recorded, it can be Father Ted, it could be Friends, it could be, all of these old reruns are actually on RT Player at the moment. So all of the old 90s, series, Dawson's Creek, whatever. It can be the cheesiest thing in the world, the most humorous thing in the world, something that's very light and gives you a laugh before going to bed, or it puts you in a relatively, positive stories is what I'm really trying to get across. And ultimately that will give you a feeling of feeling good. I know it does for me. So when I go to bed, I'm not worried or I'm not stressed, and it helps me to get a better sleep. Again, with the social media, just to be careful of all the different things that are going out and about there. I know I do some Facebook Lives at night time because I know that's when parents have the kids to bed and things like that. But generally about an hour to 2 hours before, I would be recommending to power down the devices. Blue light being one of those things, and I know we have blue light regulators on our devices, but again, just to put down, just to stop the scrolling, just to stop getting engaged from all the stories that are out there. It's difficult to do, absolutely, and I would be the very first to hold my hand up here. So it's trying to put the phone in another room while I'm getting ready for bed. It's getting it charged before I go to bed. It's putting now this week my phone outside of the room, so that if I am waking up in the middle of the night, that the first thing I'm not going to is my phone, because I look at the clock and I see it's 3 a.m. or it's 4 a.m. and I kind of go, oh my God, I'm not getting sleep. And all of a sudden you're into a spiral again. So again, this might be something that helps you, is charging your phone before you go to bed so it's fully charged for the next day. Charging your phone outside the room, charging your phone somewhere that when you wake up, and if you wake up during the night, it's not the first thing you go for, because it automatically will trigger your brain into an on mode. Hi Nicola. So that's just maybe some tips. So yeah, get out some, Friends, Father Ted, stand-up comedy, the comedy channels, something light, easy before bed. I generally try and just watch the news. For me, I watch the news maybe around lunchtime and 6 o'clock. And the reason is, the other important thing is, I don't watch it first thing in the morning, because my whole morning routine is revolved around setting me up for the day, getting me into a positive frame of mind, and just focusing on the news for that middle part of the day. So it allows me time to process that information, the intense news that we are receiving. That's the middle part of the day, and I can handle that. So that might be just something of use for you. Okay, so last 2 points, and thanks to everyone for sticking in here. Remember, I will share this video so you can watch it in your own time, when you have some time. So 2 more points is your unwind time. Okay, so we're getting to that stage where it's time to go to bed. I appreciate that a lot of you have children and you have young children at home. This is a whole other this is a whole other conversation. And again, there's many other experts in the field of childcare who will be able to step in here and contribute. What I will say is, children may not listen to you, but they will certainly imitate you. So now is the best time, when you are present in your household, to try and start some positive routines, both for yourself, both for your children. They're not going to happen overnight. There may be a lot of stressful nights where you try to put some things in place, but ultimately it's to keep repeating. So let's just stick with ourselves for the minute. So I would be saying, for me, about 30 to 45 minutes before I know, let's say I want to be in bed for 10:30. So about 9:30, 10:15, I maybe finishing off watching whatever I am on doing on TV. And for most of you as well, another good tip is when you're watching TV at nighttime, so when you've closed the curtains, turn off the main light and turn on a side light if you have it. And that is another, by actually reducing the amount of light that is getting into our brain, we are signaling to the brain we are getting ready for sleep. So that's a simple thing that you can do. If you're watching TV at nighttime and the curtains are closed, turn off the main light, turn on a side light, or just turn off the main light and sit in darkness. And again, it's just another signal. So 30 to 45 minutes before, depending on how much time you're allocating to yourself, I'm doing things like I'm in my pajamas, I'm in my slippers, I have gone upstairs to my bedroom, I've made sure all the clutter is out of my room, I've turned on my side light so it's just dim lighting in my bedroom. I might have some music on, it depends on my mood. I'm going down to do my skincare routine, I spend a few minutes at that. I might have a few conversations in the kitchen, might get myself a glass of water and have that ready for going up to bed. For some people, you might like to take your bath or your shower at night time, which is very, very relaxing. These are just a few things, and that just basically, I'm doing this quite a while now, so it's like my indicator to go, yes, my body's starting to wind down, it's starting to unwind or relax. If you go from watching, a lot of stuff on TV, or you're watching, or maybe you're having some really fiery conversations, or there's a lot going on in the household, and you try and jump straight into bed, your brain's just not ready yet. Your body might be ready for sleep, but your brain is just not there yet. So you need to have or carve out for yourself. That might be just 15 minutes for now. Maybe you can work to 30 minutes, and maybe you can stretch to 45. Depends on your own system. But there needs to be a certain amount of time there that you are in preparation for sleep. So it's kind of like if you think of a computer, you're getting ready to shut down. And that's basically what we're doing and what we're programmed to do. So when you start thinking of yourself for the moment, just like you are a computer, you need to take the relevant steps to get you from being up and active and running to gradually get you powered down into sleep. I hope that makes sense. I'm just trying to bring it across the best way I can. So yeah, they're just some of my tips. When I'm actually getting into bed, so there's different things. I have different things that I do, and this can vary from night to night. It depends on what kind of day I've had. It depends on what situations have happened during the day, what decisions I've had to make, what conversations I've had to have. So that can vary from reading a book, and reading is great. So I'm reading a lot, trying to catch up on a lot of books at the moment. Great if you love to read. Sometimes if I have a lot of ideas, and at the moment what's happening is I have a lot of creative ideas going on in my head, which means my head by the time I get to the nighttime can be full, because I've gone, oh, that's a great idea, that's a really good thing, that's a good post, that's something good to do, someone's interested in that. There's a lot going on up here. And for any of you who own businesses at the moment, or it doesn't really matter, anyone, we're all in the same boat. There's a lot of things going on in the head, whether it's in relation to finances, whether it's in relation to the kids, whether it's in relation to just work-life balance, managing in the house. These are all things that are going on in the mind. So what I just have started to do, and I'm relying on it more and more over the last couple of days, is just pen and paper. I have an empty diary, and I'm literally writing down all my things that are in my head. So literally, they're going to be there when I wake up in the morning. I don't need to think about them anymore. They're written down on paper, whether it's a to-do list, whether it's a checklist, whether it's, okay, this is what's happened that's positive today. Let's not focus on the negative. One thing that I can head off to sleep with, knowing that I've lifted a lot of stuff off my mind. So that's journaling or diary, or writing things down if you're so inclined. There's other things that you can do. You can listen to some nice relaxing music. Again, depending on whether it's device related or not, this is where you might just prefer to leave the device outside the room, but that can be just something that you try out for yourself. What else do I do? I suppose breathing, for any of you who are into breathing, meditation, yoga, stretching. This is a great way to let you off to sleep. And then some other practical things that I've just found over the last couple of days. I have my buds if you're a light sleeper and you wake up easily, or maybe if you're living somewhere in town or a built up area where you're hearing noises during the night. Basically buds in the ears, so basically minimizing your distraction or your temptation for noise to distract you. If you don't have a blackout blind, another thing that may be handy for you is your eye mask. So basically those eye masks that you get when you're on flights and or long haul flights, and you might put them in a magic drawer. So try and have a route around if any of you have some eye masks. It's very good just to cover over the eye area. And again, that's something that I've started to use in the last few days, and I find it's working really, really well for me. So that's really good as well. Yeah, so I think that brings me to the end of the points I was going to cover today. I kind of just figured I'd do this straight away while I've all this information in my head, and again that I wouldn't be rolling around. I will follow this up with some social media posts, so I appreciate you watching. If you can share this with people who you feel might benefit from it, that would be most helpful as well. And I hope you've enjoyed this Facebook Live. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope you start working towards some positive sleep patterns, myself included, over the next we'll say few days and few weeks, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, and talk to you soon. Have a great day.